there. I am back again to visit with you and do a little baking today. Today I am making a walnut torte, and the recipe that I'm using is from the Sylvia Beach Hotel where I used to work at the table of contents. It's going to be a 9-inch springform. You're going to use a 9-inch springform that you're going to spray with baking spray, and then you're going to line it with parchment paper and then spray the parchment paper as well. I have toasted my nuts, my walnuts, and I've also mixed in, while I was grinding it in the food processor, I mixed in a teaspoon of cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And then you grind it until it's about like this. You don't want to go too far, otherwise you'll make it into a nut butter. You just want to make it nice and ground up rather than going to the point where it gets pasty. I have a 1/4 cup of freshly squeezed orange juice with a tablespoon of rum and a teaspoon of vanilla in this little canning jar. So what we start with is 5 eggs that are separated. I have 5 yolks here that I'm going to add to the mixer, and I'm going to beat the dickens out of them. So you want to beat them until they're triple in volume, and that takes some time, maybe 5 minutes or so. And then after it gets to be beaten triple in volume, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of sugar. And then I will beat it for about another 5 minutes so that the sugar is completely dissolved and incorporated. So I'm going to turn this on right now, and then we'll come back in a minute or two. Okay, I'll show you what the egg yolks with the sugar looks like now that it's beaten up. See? It's very nice and thick, pale yellow. And now I'm going to add the orange juice, the lemon and orange zest, the rum, and the vanilla that are all mixed up together in this jar. And then I'm going to continue to beat this for a couple minutes more. This is actually a really simple cake to make, and it's really satisfying. It'd be considered non-gluten because there's no flour or any kind of grains in it at all. And now I'm going to add the nuts to this. Now the original recipe for this cake called for a 10-inch springform pan, but what I have is a 9-inch springform pan, so I'm baking it maybe 10 to 15 minutes longer than I would have in the 10-inch pan. And again, just to remind you, we have 5 eggs that are separated, 5 yolks, 5 whites. The 5 yolks are beaten until they're triple in volume, and then you add 3/4 cup of sugar and beat for about another 5 minutes. After that, you add your mixture of your orange juice, the 1/4 cup of orange juice, the zest of a lemon and the zest of an orange, plus the 2 tablespoons of rum. Now I think you could probably use almost any kind of alcohol in there if you don't have rum, or none at all. Let's see, I think I added a teaspoon of vanilla too. And to the 2 cups of nuts that are ground, you add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And of course you can also skip those if you don't have them. The important thing is the nuts, the eggs, the sugar, and what else? I guess that's about it really. Anyway, I'm going to wash this up, and then I'm going to beat the egg whites. And when you do egg whites, you want to make sure that your bowl and your beater is completely clean and dry, because any kind of moisture or oil or anything like that on it will keep your egg whites from completely volumizing. Heating up? Getting white? I don't know. Okay, now I'm going to add the egg whites to the clean, dry bowl, and I'm going to beat them until it's stiff peaks, which will take a few minutes. But anyway, just for a tip on the eggs, eggs that are a little old, say at least 2 weeks old, beat much better than a fresh egg. So if you have your own chickens, when they're really fresh, you're not going to get the volume of a really good volume of egg whites to beat up if you use a really fresh egg. So you always want to use an egg that's a little stale. Why that is, I do not know, but it's true. Anyway, I'm going to turn this on and then I'll be back in a minute because this is really noisy. Anyway, see you in a minute. The egg whites have been beaten until they're stiff, and this is stiff. This is not what you'd be looking for if you were making a meringue. When you're making a meringue, you want soft peaks, but this is thoroughly stiff, which is what we want. So we gently fold this, and then I'm going to add it to this bowl here. After I get this incorporated a little bit, we'll add it into the egg whites. I'm going to bake this for probably an hour and 10 minutes because it's going to be a deeper portion of batter than it would be in a 10-inch springform pan. When you're folding egg whites and the egg yolks together, you want to be really gentle, but you want to just keep working at it. And basically what you do is you cut through the batter like that, and you turn it and you bring it back through. I've always served this cake with chocolate whipping cream and bananas, which is really a nice combination. And I'll show you how to do that too. See, this is what it looks like now. I'm going to put it into the springform pan and pop it in the oven. And if there are a few little bits of egg white that's not incorporated, that's fine. It'll all taste good. Anyway, this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that or not, but anyway, I'm going to pop it in the oven. And set the timer for an hour, and then I'll add some extra time to it once it hits the hour mark. Anyway, so I'm going to go through this with you again. It's a walnut torte, and we have 5 eggs that are separated. You beat the yolks until they're light and triple in volume, and then you slowly add 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and you beat 5 minutes more. After that, you're going to take 1/4 of a cup of orange juice, fresh orange, fresh zest on your lemon and your orange. So you're going to take 1/4 cup of your fresh orange juice, 2 tablespoons of rum, a teaspoon of vanilla, and then the zest from both your orange and your lemon. And then you add that all together with your orange juice. After you've beaten your egg yolks with the sugar, you add this to it and incorporate it together. When you're done with that, you're going to add your 2 cups of ground walnuts, which you've toasted in the oven you toast them for maybe about 5 to 7 minutes at about 350, and they'll be nice and toasty, and then you grind them in a food processor if you've got one. So to the ground walnuts, you add a teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And then once you have all of those ingredients incorporated, you're going to beat your egg whites until they're very stiff, and then you'll incorporate both of those. You'll fold your mixture into your egg whites until it's incorporated, and then you're going to bake it at a 325-degree oven in a 9 or 10-inch springform pan that's been sprayed with baking spray and lined with parchment. So then you're going to bake it for an hour or an hour and 15 minutes, depending on how big your springform pan is. And so that's it for now. Anyway, I'll show you the cake when it comes out of the oven. Okay, here is the finished walnut torte. And it looks like it caught, maybe I didn't have the corner or the edge of the springform pan sprayed all the way up to the edge because it's a little uneven. But and it was kind of stuck on that side, so I believe I didn't get enough cooking spray on there. Anyway, this is what it looks like. It's nice and firm. Anyway, so I'm going to make the chocolate whipping cream now, and I'm using a heavyweight whipping cream and Ghirardelli's Majestic Cocoa, which is a really beautiful dark cocoa, as you can see here. It's a nice one. It's a very nice cocoa. And I'm going to use some vanilla as well, because vanilla is good in just about everything. And then we have sugar, so we'll have sugar for it too. So I'm going to put about 1 cup of whipping cream in the mixer. And a tablespoon of sugar. Depending on how sweet your dessert is, you can level up the sweetness of your whipping cream. Either no sugar in it, which I often like, or just a little bit of sugar, depending on how sweet you want it to be. Add a teaspoon of vanilla. And then I'm going to add at least a tablespoon of cocoa powder. I think I'm going to sift that a little bit. It's chunky. There, okay. Now we can start mixing. Okay, it's going to be noisy again. I'm just scraping down the side of the bowl to get all of the cocoa incorporated into the cream. Okay, so here's the whipping cream now. It has nice soft peaks. It's well whipped. You don't want to whip it too much because then it'd just turn into chocolate butter, which might not be a bad thing, but it wouldn't work for this recipe. It's nice and soft. Check it for sweetness. Perfect. These bananas are the perfect ripeness for this. They're really sweet at this point, but they're not too far gone. And just slice the bananas about 1/4 of an inch thick. See, that's what it looks like when it's completely baked. It's really nice. A little blob of chocolate whipping cream on the side. And there you have it. Anyway, it's a Slovak walnut torte. Gluten-free. Ha! Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.